Today we're covering what's new for Magic Kingdom in 2024. We'll cover strategies, lightning lanes, snacks, entertainment, and more. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, September 8th, and you're listening to episode 52, Magic Kingdom Essentials, What's New in 2024. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. TRON's virtual queue is going away as of September 9th. It'll operate as standby queue going forward. The virtual queue will continue through September 8th, but that will be the last day. It'll still be a Lightning Lane single pass, so you'll still be able to purchase a single pass to skip the standby queue. We'll go deeper into what this means for your park strategy in today's show. Disney also announced that a new Villains show is coming to Hollywood Studios in the summer of 2025. The new show will be a live production that will take you into the realm of the Magic Mirror, and it'll feature Disney villains, including Cruella de Vil, Captain Hook, Maleficent, among many others. The show will replace Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy at Sunset Showcase, and Disney said that the last day to experience the Cars attraction will be October 7th of 2024. Disney is upping their villains game, and this sounds like it's going to be a great new addition to the already stellar show lineup at Hollywood Studios.
Agreed. Hollywood Studios has some of the best shows, and this one's just going to be right up there too. I'm sure of it.
Agreed. It should be really good.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
And in snack news, over at Epcot, the hugely popular caramel gingerbread cookie sandwich is back at Caramel Cooch in the Germany Pavilion. This is 2 soft gingerbread cookies sandwiched with Werther's original caramel and salted caramel buttercream frosting. It's likely to stick around through the new year, so make sure to grab it next time you're in the World Showcase. So we're 12 days out from our next trip, and we're getting seriously excited now.
We are.
So it's going to be hard to be, focusing on work for the next couple of weeks because it's literally just around the corner, right? So the suitcases came up this weekend, and we're slowly starting to throw some things together, replenishing the toiletries we need for our carry-ons, taking out our Disney clothes, and yes, we have some dedicated garments that only come out for Disney.
Absolutely. They do not get worn when we're at home.
Yeah, exactly. And we're also watching this Air Canada pilot strike very closely. So as some of our Canadian friends are more than likely aware, there's a strike looming that would directly conflict with our travel dates. And you guessed it, we're flying Air Canada, right? So we do have a contingency plan in place should that happen, but we're hoping that won't be needed. And the Airline and Pilot Association are going to be able to come to an agreement before a strike ever happens. Fingers crossed, we have and will continue to monitor that closely over the next week or so.
I monitor it every hour, I think.
Yeah, I'm constantly checking news. And we also decided that we'll be attending Halloween Horror Nights. So like we've mentioned before, we're doing 3 days at Universal on the front end of this trip before we head to Disney. And initially, we had decided against going to the event, but we talked about it and decided, why not?
Why not?
So we're going to be there at Halloween Horror Nights on September 22nd over at Universal Studios, Florida. Lucy is much more into the horror type stuff than I am. So it's really more for her.
Yeah, I am so excited about this. I'm not even kidding you. The Scream trilogies, they are like my ultimate favorite. They're not even a trilogy anymore. It's just a series. Yep. My favorite, I love Insidious. All those spooky that you don't like, I love. So I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, and we've seen the initial reactions to the houses for this year in the scare zones. And I have to admit, it does look like a good time. So yeah, we'll
have fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
We purchased express passes on top of our event tickets to make sure we're able to see every house, and we're jumping in with both feet here. We're going to commit to doing as much as we can during the evening, and we're looking forward to it, and it should be interesting to say the least.
Absolutely. We can't wait to report back on it when we get back. I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, agreed.
So with that being said, let's get into today's main topic. So it's no secret that Magic Kingdom is the flagship park at Walt Disney World. It's definitely the most visited park in the US, with Disneyland close behind at number 2. It's iconic with Cinderella's castle, a ton of attractions, some great entertainment, fun meet and greets, delicious snack options, among many other offerings. There's also a lot to do at Magic Kingdom, and it's definitely worth spending a full day here, if not 2, if you have the luxury to do it. If you have more than 4 park days during your trip, this is definitely when we would suggest to head there twice. We totally get it if you only have the 4 park days, so you can't do it. But if you definitely have 5 park days, hit up Magic Kingdom twice, because you probably will not have experienced everything on your first trip there.
Yeah, probably like most. If you have 2 days, you'll have done most, but still.
You may not even have hit it all up
100%.
in general.
There's just too much to do, right?
Yeah. You're going to definitely experience a lot for sure, but not all. So there's just too much to do, like Oliver said. So definitely it's worth 2 days if you can swing it. Yeah.
And now the only constant in the parks, it seems like to me, is change, right?
Absolutely.
So there's always something new brewing at Magic Kingdom, and 2024 is no different, right? There's been a few changes this year, and while the overall strategy that we've recommended previously hasn't changed all that much. There are some new factors at play now that do impact how you're going to structure your day. So we thought it'd be a good time to put out an episode, talk about the changes so that you can set yourself up for success at Walt Disney World's most popular park.
Yeah, so first things first, let's quickly cover off getting to the park. So Magic Kingdom is unique in the sense that it's the only park at Walt Disney World where the parking lot is actually nowhere near the entrance. There's actually several ways to arrive at Magic Kingdom. So number one would be walking. While you can't park near the entrance, you have to park at the Transportation and Ticket Center. You can walk from the Transportation and Ticket Center to the front entrance. This is definitely not the quickest way to get there, and it's a really long walk in a sense at the beginning of your day and especially at the end of your day, depending on how fast you can walk. Plus, like we said, you're already walking so much in the parks. That's probably not really appealing at the end of the day. No judgment. That's definitely an option, though. You can do it. You can also walk from the monorail resorts, so that's Contemporary, Polynesian, and Grand Floridian. Number two is driving. So if you have your own vehicle or you've rented a vehicle, you will need to park at the TTC like we said before. And note that ride shares like Uber and Lyft also drop you off at the TTC, not at the front entrance of Magic Kingdom. That's really important. So the only exception to that is minivans. They're the only ride share option that can actually drop you off at the entrance.
Yeah, that's right.
There is a markup with the service. You book it via the Lyft app, but it's definitely more expensive than your standard Lyft ride.
Mm-hmm.
Number three is a ferry boat. So there's a ferry that picks you up at the TTC, crosses the Seven Seas Lagoons, and then drops you off at the front gates. There's also resort boats that will take you to the resorts on Seven Seas Lagoon, as well as Wilderness Lodge if you are staying at any of those resorts.
Yep, agreed. And number four is the monorail. So you can take the monorail from the TTC to Magic Kingdom or from any of the monorail resorts. So again, those are Contemporary, Polynesian, and Grand Floridian. Quick note here is that there's 3 monorail lines to choose from, so you have to make sure you take the right one, right?
Yes.
So from the resorts, it's pretty easy. There's only the one, right? You have the monorail to Magic Kingdom, and that's the resorts loop. From TTC, you can take the resorts loop, the express line from TTC to Magic Kingdom, or the line from TTC to Epcot, which doesn't serve you any purpose whatsoever if you're trying to get to Magic Kingdom, but it exists, right? Just as an FYI. The monorail station at Magic Kingdom lets you out right near the front gates. Number 5 is buses. So buses are by far the most widespread form of Disney's transportation, and these also drop you off right near the entrance to the park. Each resort has a dedicated numbered station, and you'll take the bus from that station again when you leave at the end of your park day. For park hopping, note that for Magic Kingdom, the best way to park hop is the monorail. So you can take the monorail from Magic Kingdom back to TTC, and then the Epcot line from the TTC. For Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, though, you're going to have to take a bus. Park hopping buses start to run at 10 a.m. Another option and much less direct way to get to Epcot or Hollywood Studios is to take a resort bus to a Skyliner resort. So think Riviera, Caribbean Beach, for example, and then you can take the Skyliner from these resorts to either Hollywood Studios or Epcot. If you're not pressed for time and you're wanting, a Skyliner ride or to check out those resorts, that's certainly an option. And of course, you can always take a ride share, but again, unless it's a minivan, you still have to get to TTC to grab it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always cast members around too. If you are like, oh gosh, which monorail line am I supposed to get on? I'm confused. Or which bus station am I going to that's going to bring me to my resort? There's always a cast member around that's willing to help you.
100%. And if you're not sure, the best way to get to your destination or the most efficient way, cast members are going to help with you with that too. Find a cast member, say, I'm trying to hop to Hollywood Studios. What's my best bet? And they're going to help you.
They're going to know. All right, next up, let's talk some rope drop strategy. So over the next month or so, Magic Kingdom opens at 9 a.m., which means early entry is at 8:30. We suggest arriving to the front gate about an hour before early entry begins. So let's say 7:30. Mm-hmm. That's usually when we start to line up.
Yep.
Buses will start to run around an hour and a half before early entry and then let off at the parks 1 hour before. It's similar to the monorail. The first monorail to let off at Magic Kingdom will be an hour before early entry. That's also when you'll first be let through security and then the queue at the touch points at the entrance if you walked or took the bus. Is it necessary to be here this early? That's really subjective, but here's our take on this. The later you arrive, the further back you'll be. And if you're road dropping Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, this just means a longer wait. It's that simple, honestly. You're just going to be more behind in the queue. You will get on the ride fairly quickly, just not as quick as you could be if you were there an hour early.
Yep.
If you're cool with waiting a little longer, no worries. Don't stress that so much. But if you really want a short wait, aim to be one of the first people at whatever touch point you're queued at. Magic Kingdom typically opens somewhere between 45 to 25 minutes before early entry. So you'll be let into the park somewhere around 7:45 to 8:05-ish when Magic Kingdom opens at 9 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. And once inside Main Street, you can take photos of the castle, you can meander, you can take in the sights. But if you're wanting to ride Seven Dwarfs, you'll want to head straight to Fantasyland. So as you get near the castle, you're going to see a cast member with like a big sign that says early entry and that points you to the right. That's going to funnel you to the right of the castle, either toward the bridge that leads to Tomorrowland or the bridge that leads to Fantasyland. You won't be able to queue here without passing a wall of cast members with tablets that's going to scan one person in your party to confirm that you qualify for early entry. If you aren't a resort guest and don't qualify for that half hour of early entry, you're still going to be able to enter the park. You just won't be able to go queue at Tomorrowland or Fantasyland. Once you're through there, you can go to Tomorrowland. You're going to be stopped on the far end of the bridge into Tomorrowland. And if you're going to Fantasyland, you'll be stopped right next to Cheshire Cafe, next to Cosmic Ray's Starlight Cafe. You're then going to wait there until right around 8:30 when you're allowed to go to your first attraction of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, huge caveat here that will be in effect by the time this episode airs. As of right now, as we're recording this on September 8th, you need to join the virtual queue for TRON. It doesn't have a standby queue, and it makes no sense to head there. If you're going to Tomorrowland, as of right now, you'll likely be heading to Space Mountain. But as of Monday, September 9th, so yesterday as this episode airs, TRON will no longer operate a virtual queue, and you'll be able to queue there at early entry. That is huge.
Yep.
So obviously this hasn't happened yet, so this is pure speculation, but let's call it an educated guess. This will alleviate some pressure off of Seven Dwarfs, which is going to be a big help for the rope drop experience at this park, in our opinion, because we absolutely hate this rope drop. Inevitably, some people that were going to queue at Seven Dwarfs will now go and queue at TRON, which means there is a better spread of guests between the two lands. Up until now, it's been skewed in a major way towards Fantasyland.
Yeah, agreed.
We've done both before when we were just rope dropping Space Mountain. It's very quiet over there compared to Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah, Space Mountain is definitely less popular than Seven Dwarfs.
For sure. But now it's going to gain some popularity again with TRON.
And it's 100%. Way more people are going to head to Tomorrowland.
Absolutely.
We can only assume, right? So it's going to be a more even spread, which should, I'm
kind of excited to see it on the first day to see where it takes us.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So where you go first from here is completely up to you, right? So both Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and TRON still have Lightning Lane Single Pass, so you'll have to pay for the Lightning Lane if you want to skip the queue. One thing to keep in mind, TRON Single Pass is more expensive than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train's pass. TRON is usually somewhere around $20 or more, while Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is around $12 and, low teens on the highest end. So if you plan on rope dropping one and purchasing the other to avoid the line, in simple math terms, it's more cost effective to rope drop TRON and buy the single pass for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Again, that's completely up to you. What we are more than likely going to do on our Magic Kingdom Day coming up is rope drop Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and purchase a single pass for TRON, simply for the reason that we want to do it late in the evening after dark, because we like experiencing TRON with, the illuminated canopy in the evening hours. So again, it totally depends on what your plan is and what you're looking for out of your day.
Absolutely. I think that next time when we go with the kids, we will probably do TRON first and then Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, because it'll be the first time our daughter can ride TRON. So that's probably what we're going to do.
Yep.
From there, if you are in Fantasyland, we suggest heading to Peter Pan's Flight right after Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. You'll likely see an inflated wait time already at this point, but again, the wait time likely won't have caught up yet, so hop in line. Historically and consistently, we usually wait about a half of the posted wait time for Peter Pan's Flight first thing after Seven Dwarfs. If you're in Tomorrowland, once you're off of TRON, we definitely suggest heading to Space Mountain before the masses arrive. Either way, you're knocking off two heavy hitters in the first hour of the day, which is awesome.
Yep, agreed 100%. Now, another thing to consider is Lightning Lane Multipass and Single Pass, right? So, reminder that on July 24th, Genie Plus was replaced by Lightning Lane Multipass, and individual Lightning Lanes were replaced by Lightning Lane Single Pass, right? So, if you're a Disney Resort guest, you can book 3 Lightning Lane Multipasses 7 days before your check-in day for every park day for up to 14 days. If you're not a Disney Resort guest, you can make your selections 3 days before your first park day for the length of your ticket. Reminder that these are tiered between Tier 1 and Tier 2. And of your 3 selections, you're going to be able to choose 1 from Tier 1 and 2 from Tier 2, or all 3 from Tier 2 if you wanted to do that. The Tier 1 attractions are Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Jungle Cruise, which is currently down for refurbishment, but it's set to reopen in October, Peter Pan's Flight, Space Mountain, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Tier 2 attractions are Barnstormer, Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, Dumbo, Haunted Mansion, It's a Small World, Mad Tea Party, Magic Carpets of Aladdin, Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Mickey's PhilharMagic, Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, Pirates of the Caribbean, Tomorrowland Speedway, and Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid. We suggest Tiana's Bayou Adventure be your first Tier 1, and Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean be your Tier 2s. Be mindful that one of those selections, doesn't matter which, should be as early as possible in the day, because as soon as you scan into your first attraction, you're going to be able to select another one, even if that was a tier 2. So for example, say you booked Tiana's at 1 p.m., Haunted Mansion at 11:30 a.m., and Pirates of the Caribbean at 9:30 a.m. As soon as you scan into Pirates, you're going to be able to select another attraction, including another tier 1. It doesn't have to be a tier 2 as long as it's available. So you can scan into Pirates, for example, and say you're able to find a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad lightning lane for like 1 p.m. You're going to be able to book it. You can hold up to 3 lightning lanes at any given time. And once you're in the park using them, these can be tier 1 or tier 2. It no longer matters at this point. You take what you can get.
Absolutely. And another thing to keep in mind that's the same as before is virtual queues. So while Tron no longer has a virtual queue, Tiana's Bayou Adventure still does. Just like before, you'll have 2 chances to join the virtual queue, once at 7 a.m. and again at 1 p.m. For the 7 a.m., you can do that from anywhere. And then at 1 p.m., you'll have to actually physically be inside the park. So note that you can do both, right? So you can book a lightning lane in advance for Tiana's, and you can join the virtual queue on the day of your visit. So you'd be able to actually ride this twice if you're able to book both. Something to definitely keep in mind there.
Yeah. And one thing that I find interesting is that it's still a virtual queue, because if you remember when they first announced the opening, they mentioned that it was going to be like for a short time. They weren't like super specific on it, but it's been like, it was in June, right? So it's been like 3 months.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised it is too.
I'm curious to see how long they're going to keep that going.
I actually thought in September they were going to switch it just because the summer months were over and stuff, but I guess not.
If there was ever a time, you'd think it'd be now for sure, but
absolutely.
Here we are.
And then from there, when it comes to attractions and booking lightning lanes, it's not unlike using Genie Plus. Once you're inside the park and using the service, you can still refresh for a better time, and the best strategy, in our opinion, like always, is a mix of standby queues and using lightning lanes. Note that you can no longer stack lightning lanes like you were able to do with Genie Plus, and the 120-minute rule no longer applies. The only time you can book another attraction is when you're scanning into one, and you won't be able to hold more than 3 at any given time. That is a big note.
Yep, exactly.
Right there,
that's one of the biggest differences.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, let's talk about some new things that you're going to find around the park if you haven't been in a while. Even for us who have been as recently as May of this year, there's new things that we haven't tried yet and that we're going to be experiencing for the first time on this upcoming trip. So the glaring change here is Tiana's Bayou Adventure. This had closed for an extensive reimagining in January of 2023 and recently reopened earlier in June. We're going to be experiencing it for the first time very soon, so we're very much looking forward to that. Country Bear Jamboree got a complete refresh and reopened earlier this summer. It features refreshed costumes, brand new and updated music from movies you're going to recognize like The Little Mermaid and Zootopia. If you've never seen this attraction or have yet to see the refreshed show, pop in to check it out. Peter Pan's Flight very recently reopened after a relatively short refurbishment, and it got a new tribe scene where Tiger Lily is dancing with her grandmother. You're going to notice the new change next time you ride it. And one thing that kind of flew under the radar, in our opinion, is in May of 2024, Smellephants on Parade opened in Storybook Circus, right? So if you want to experience this, head to Big Top Souvenirs and grab an illustrated map of the land and a sticker sheet to help you find the 8 Smellephant statues that are spread across the space. The statues are elephants representing different Disney snacks like popcorn, cotton candy, hot dogs, among others. Something fun to do with your littles in this area of the park.
Yeah, Storybook Circus doesn't get a ton of love just because it's kind of forgotten over in the corner. But if you have little kids, that is the place you want to be.
Oh, 100%. Go ride Barnstormer. Go check this out. Absolutely. I know the areas are made to smell like what the snack is. So
it's a lot of fun in that area. I like going there.
Agreed.
And unless you've been living under a rock, 2 big expansions were announced for Magic Kingdom, among other groundbreaking announcements at this year's D23 event. Tom Sawyer Island is going to be replaced by a Cars area that will have 2 brand new attractions. This has fans divided, mainly because of the water. This is what seems to be causing the most waves. No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended, yeah.
Will the water around the island be reclaimed, or will there still be a water element surrounding the new Cars area? Only time will tell with this one. What we will say, and we'll tread carefully as we say this, but by and large, the Disney fan base is resistant to change. So here's our take. While changes can sometimes be hard to accept, the vast majority of these updates and expansions that Disney has done eventually become widely loved and appreciated. So while the initial sting of losing something familiar to make way for something new can be very hard, Disney will pour huge effort into making these lands amazing. So I'm very confident that the end product is going to be something that fans will enjoy and truly, truly learn to love.
Yep, agreed.
I will caveat this by saying we do hope that they incorporate water in some way. Every park has water in some way, shape, or form. So we really hope that that's in the plans. But again, time is going to tell. They are set to start work on this sometime in 2025. So this is starting relatively soon for Disney standards.
Yep, agreed 100%. I am curious to see if they're going to keep water.
It'll be sad to see the boat no longer there.
Yeah, 100%, because it is a beautiful area. Like when you're standing in Liberty Square looking out over the water, seeing the island. So again, I'm optimistic that it's going to be awesome, but I do hope that they have, something.
We'll have to get on the boat one more time and off to Tom Sawyer's Island one more time here.
Yep. And the announcement that rocked the fan base is a new Villains Land coming to Magic Kingdom as well, right? So this is the project that is going beyond Big Thunder, right? That was first teased at the 2023 D23 Destination event in Orlando. This new area is going to be an expansion past Big Thunder, and it's going to have 2 major attractions, dining, shopping, and an overall ominous vibe, right? So the concept art for this looks amazing, and we can't wait to see and hear more about this expansion. Note that unlike the Cars area and some of the other expansions like slated for Walt Disney World in general, we don't have a timeline for when work's going to begin on this one. Based on this, we think this is probably going to be the last of the new expansions to open. And the first is likely going to be the Pueblo Esperanza over in Animal Kingdom, right? That's the expansion that's replacing Dinoland USA. That's likely going to open first. The other one's like in stages, and this
Monsters,
is likely going to be last.
Cars, and this one. Yeah. I think this one's the most elaborate too.
100%. And the reason we say that is because every other land has like a projected general timeline as to when they're going to break ground, not this one.
Yeah. I can't wait for this one. That's going to be amazing.
Agreed.
All right. Next up, let's cover the available entertainment in the park. So the Festival of Fantasy Parade is a lovely parade that happens daily, sometimes twice a day, depending on the time of year and crowd levels. It is a wonderful parade with such a great song. It'll get stuck in your head almost immediately. Phenomenal floats and the characters that you don't always get to see in the park. It lasts about 15 minutes or just maybe a little less, and it's 100% worth checking out during your park day. During the months of September and October, it's happening once at 2 p.m. And then in busier times, it happens twice, usually at noon and then again at 3 p.m. This parade is at the mercy of the weather, of course, for the safety of the cast members. So if it's rainy, they'll do a rainy day cavalcade, and it's actually really cute too.
Yeah.
That's a fun one to watch as well.
Raincoats and rubber boots and stuff.
It's pretty adorable. It's much shorter and smaller, but features characters in rain gear, and it's definitely worth checking out as well.
Agreed.
There's also Mickey's Magical Friendship Fair, which is a daily show that happens on stage in front of Cinderella's castle. This is a fun stage show with fun music and appearances from some of the greatest characters like Mickey, Minnie, Olaf, Anna, Elsa, Tiana, Rapunzel, Flynn Rider, among many others. Again, it's a great little show, definitely worth stopping for. It has a few show times throughout the day, and for the month of September, it happens 3 times, at 10 a.m., at 11:55 a.m., and at 12:55 p.m. These times are subject to change, so definitely make sure you check the My Disney Experience app leading up to your trip.
Yeah, 100%. And of course, there's Happily Ever After, right? Which is the tear-jerking fireworks and projection show that happens nightly at Magic Kingdom. So this features fireworks, lights, lasers, special effects, and a wonderful score, okay? Like in the feels, right? So
it's in the feels every time.
It's an emotional and like just a wonderful show, right? We love it. We have to see it at least once every trip. It lasts about 18 minutes. And again, yeah, it's 18 minutes because I held my daughter for those entire 18 minutes on a sweaty night. And like the other,
next to every other person.
Yeah, exactly. And it's subject to inclement weather, right? Like the other shows. So be mindful of that. Showtimes for September are 8:30 p.m., right? But again, that fluctuates by season. So just check the app leading up to your trip and again on your park day to make sure you don't miss it. You'll also have some periphery entertainment like the Dapper Dan singing some tunes on Main Street or some shows at Rocket Tower Plaza in Tomorrowland. You might spot a character walking around as well, right? On their way to their meet and greets or like leaving their meet and greet area. The Country Bears come out and interact in Frontierland sometimes. There's an element of spontaneity there. So you might find some magic during your park day. And aside from that, there's some meet and greets that have like set locations. So over in Adventureland, right near Magic Carpets of Aladdin, there's an Aladdin and Jasmine meet and greet. Also in Adventureland near Pirates of the Caribbean, there's a Jack Sparrow meet and greet. Over in Fantasyland at Pete's Silly Sideshow, there's a Minnie, Donald, Daisy, and Goofy meet and greet. And still in Fantasyland, you can meet and greet with Ariel at Ariel's Grotto, which is right near the attraction. And you can also meet with Belle at Enchanted Tales with Belle, which is right near the entrance to Be Our Guest. You can meet with Peter Pan near Peter Pan's Flight. Anastasia and Drizella will sometimes meet near Cinderella Fountain and usually together. At Princess Fairytale Hall, you'll find a rotating cast of princesses, including Rapunzel, Tiana, Elena, Cinderella, among others. Over in Fairytale Garden near Cheshire Cafe is where you're going to find Mirabelle's meet and greet. Reminder that this is where the Merida meet and greet used to be, and that took over earlier this year. Over in the Thoughtful Spot, you can meet Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. That's over near the entrance to the attraction. Chip and Dale will sometimes meet over in Frontierland. and Stitch will sporadically meet and greet over in Tomorrowland. And at Town Square Theater Porch, you'll sometimes have Snow White or Mulan kind of rotating. And of course, at Main Street USA, you can meet the mouse that started it all at Town Square Theater, right? In his magician's outfit. He's always there.
We've taken our picture there many times. We love it.
Agreed. And these are all subject to change and aren't always available. So keep your eye on the My Disney Experience app, right? It has a filter specifically for meet and greets. It's going to have the most up-to-date information on where the meet and greets are located, who is there, and what the hours are. And failing that, just ask a cast member.
Absolutely. All right, next up, let's talk snacks. So there are some classic snacks in Magic Kingdom that many guests love and that are popular for a reason. And we're going to touch on some of the most popular and iconic snacks that you can find in the park. So first off, over at Gaston's Tavern in Fantasyland, this is where you're going to find the classic warm cinnamon roll. This is a classic for a reason. It's big, easily shareable, and extremely tasty. Ask for extra icing, you won't regret it.
Yeah, 100%. Like for Lucy and I, this is one of our go-tos.
Oh, I think we've pretty much had it every single time.
Every single trip, almost.
And now it's our kids' go-to as well. They enjoy it as well.
Yeah, they love it as well.
They also have 2 new offerings here as well, the creme brulee croissant and the ham and Gruyere tart. Both look phenomenal, and we actually haven't had a chance to try these yet, but we will definitely be trying them on this upcoming trip for sure.
100%. And over at Sleepy Hollow, you used to be able to, until very recently, find the fresh fruit waffle sandwich with Nutella, right? Which was one of our absolute favorites.
So good.
And it was a must get every trip. Yeah, usually we have 2 Magic Kingdom days, and one day, we go grab a cinnamon roll. On the other day, we go grab a fresh fruit Nutella waffle.
Every time. Now that's gone.
Yeah, 100%, which is a little defeating. Yeah. But there is some solace. Okay, let's say. So they switched it to a Mickey waffle with either berries, bananas, and chocolate spread, and a couple of other options as well. But in a return to its former self, almost, Disney added an option with berries, banana, and chocolate spread all together, which is the closest thing to the sandwich that they used to have. We're going to be trying this on our upcoming trip to see how it stacks up against the original.
Absolutely. The peanut butter cookie pie over at the Main Street Confectionery is a personal favorite of ours. This is a peanut butter cookie baked with peanut butter chips and topped with chocolate frosting and peanut M&Ms. If you are a peanut butter fan, you will most definitely enjoy this. You can also make your own popcorn here with toppings like chocolate sauce, candies, among other sweets. They also have a new Mickey Mouse mint chocolate chip cookie that's taking social media by storm. We actually haven't tried this yet, but apparently it's amazing. Oliver is not a big mint guy, but I absolutely love it. Mint chocolate chip is my favorite ice cream of all time. So I think we'll definitely have to try this one. And I may be the one that eats most of it this time.
Almost certainly, yep.
Pretty decadent stuff here at the confectionery if you're craving something sweet.
Yeah, agreed. And you can now find beignets either at Golden Oak Outpost in between Frontierland and Adventureland or over at Friar's Nook in Fantasyland. So these are different than the beignets you're going to find at Scat Cat's Cafe over at Port Orleans French Quarter Resort, but it's still worth checking out when you're in the park. So pro tip, Friar's Nook is usually less busy than Golden Oak Outpost, plus it offers mobile order. So if you're going to grab them, I'd say grab them there.
Mobile order every time, folks.
Agreed.
And then over at Plaza Ice Cream Parlor, there's a ton of ice cream cookie sandwiches, and sundaes. We are definitely partial to the All-American sundae, and that's vanilla and chocolate ice cream, hot fudge, peanut butter drizzle, and whipped cream. You can't go wrong.
Agreed. Over at Aloha Isle in Adventureland, there's a few sweet treats worth checking out. So the classic Dole Whip, of course, right? You're going to find that here. Mm-hmm. The Tropical Serenade, which is coconut Dole Whip with pog juice and an upside-down pineapple cake pop. Or just the straight up classic pineapple upside down cake, like the full version is also here. And it's also very tasty.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. The spring rolls over at the spring roll cart near the entrance to Adventureland are also a must go to. They have cheeseburger or pizza spring rolls. Flavors rotate as well, so stop to see which ones are available. An order comes with 2 and you can mix and match.
Yep. Over at Cheshire Cafe in Fantasyland near Mad Tea Party, you're going to find the Cheshire Cocktail, which is a croissant-like pastry stuffed with chocolate and drizzled with pink and purple icing. It's supposed to look like a fluffy cocktail, but really it looks like a really long croissant with
icing. Colorful icing.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is just a small list of the treats that we enjoy, and there's so much more to enjoy in the parks as well. Corn dog nuggets from Casey's, Hush Puppies from Columbia Harbor House, cheese tots from Friar's Nook, themed soft serve cones from Storybook Treats, among others. There are so many treats to try in the park and some really solid options. We definitely suggest making a list of your top 4 or 5 snacks and trying those. Anything left? Well, you can enjoy during your next trip.
Agreed, 100%. And still on the topic of food, let's touch on the available table and quick service options in this park. So for the most popular table service restaurants, You've got Cinderella's Royal Table, right? Which is a popular spot for sure, given the fact that you're going to eat in the castle itself and meet and greet with 5 princesses during your meal. It's very expensive, okay? There's no doubt about that, but it's a good way to get a bunch of meet and greets done in one sitting. Be Our Guest is another very popular restaurant. This is also pretty steep in price, and it's not technically a character meal. You're going to see Beast like walking around the restaurant, but he won't be stopping and interacting with you at your table the way it's done at character meals across property. Recently, he has been meeting in his study, but it's not clear if that's like a long-term thing since it hadn't been happening in recent years since the pandemic closures. Both Cinderella's Royal Table and Be Our Guest are very popular, like we said, so advanced dining reservations should definitely be prioritized at 60 days. And note that you'll have to pay for your meal at Cinderella's Royal Table when you book and not on the actual day of your visit like most other restaurants on property.
Other table service restaurants that we recommend are Jungle Navigation Company Skipper Canteen, or just Skipper Canteen for short. This is a really fun option with food that differs from your standard offerings. Plus, it's not quite as hard to get a reservation here. You can also find success doing the walk-up wait list as well, which is a really good option if you just didn't know what you were going to want that night.
Agreed.
We also like Liberty Tree Tavern, which is basically Thanksgiving dinner served family style, and it's especially good during the colder months. If you're craving Italian food, head on over to Tony's Town Square restaurant. It used to be that it wasn't actually the greatest, but it has upped its game in recent times and has some pretty solid options now.
Agreed.
The Crystal Palace is a buffet for breakfast, lunch, and dinner where you're going to be able to meet Winnie the Pooh and his friends. There's no shortage of dining options at Magic Kingdom. That's one of the great things about it. And another thing you can do that we often do ourselves is you go and have a meal at one of the monorail resorts. We're actually doing this on our upcoming trip. We have Ohana reservations on our Magic Kingdom day. So we're going to pop out for supper and then we're going to head back in afterwards for Happily Ever After.
Yeah, agreed 100%. That sounds like a great plan.
I think so too.
The only thing about that reservation, and I've been trying for weeks now, but it's at 3:55 p.m., which is just too early. We don't want to eat that early.
Because we like to snack and then have a little later supper.
Exactly. So what we're doing is we're checking all the time, and I think that we're gonna be able to snag one as we get closer.
If
almost
the
certainly.
day before, the day of, we're going to be able to snag one. Even for like 6:30 would be perfect for us.
Agreed. In terms of quick service, there's lots of options as well. Columbia Harbor House is a good option. It has healthy options as well as your standard fare. This is also where you're going to find those hush puppies. Friar's Nook has loaded tots. Pinocchio Village House has flatbreads and standard fare as well. Some people don't like Pinocchio Village House, but I think it catches like a lot of shade for no reason.
For no reason, actually. It's perfect there.
Yeah, we don't mind the flatbreads here. And like, you know, if you're craving chicken strips, it's a good spot to stop. It has 2 floors. Like,
go tons of seating.
Yeah, 100%. Go sit on the second floor. It's nice up there. It's nice and quiet.
Craving a cold Coca-Cola and some chicken strips, that's the place to be.
Yeah, agreed. Pecos Bill has Tex-Mex options. There's other places as well, like Cosmic Rays. We're not huge fans of that place. There's no standout options in the menu, and it's just not overly themed. And we don't usually stop for much of a meal at Magic Kingdom anyways, right? We're much more likely, like Lucy said, to snack throughout the day and have a bigger dinner in the evening, either at a table service restaurant or one of the resorts, like we said. But we will say, when we have the kids, we have stopped for a more substantial lunch because we don't like to deviate from their routine too much, even when we're on vacation.
Yeah, our kids are 3 squares a day, so we definitely usually have to stop for lunch, and it actually slows down, makes us slow down too, and it's kind of nice.
It is, yeah.
And the last thing that we're quickly going to touch on here is the Magic Kingdom parties. So basically from the start of August until New Year's, there's parties at Magic Kingdom all the time. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party happens from the beginning of August through Halloween, and then shortly thereafter, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party happens November through December on select nights. So why are we mentioning this? Well, these parties happen anywhere from 2 to 4 nights a week. So if you want to go to one of these parties, you're definitely going to have to plan ahead and get your tickets. And if you don't want to attend a party, but you're there between August and New Year's, you're going to want to plan your Magic Kingdom days around those parties. You don't want to have your only Magic Kingdom day to be on a day where there's a party and you didn't know that, and then you're going to have to leave the park at 6 p.m. so you didn't get to see the fireworks at all. That would be pretty heartbreaking if you didn't know that.
Yep.
So a reminder that these parties run from 7 p.m. to midnight, but party guests can enter as early as 4 p.m. So while party days tend to be a little quieter during the day, crowds do pick up late afternoon, and day guests must leave by 6 p.m. Something to keep in mind there if you're making plans in the latter part of the year for Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, agreed 100%. We have seen people get completely thrown off by that.
Oh, so thrown, yeah.
So definitely make sure that you're not planning those days like on party days.
Unless you're going to the party.
Yeah, exactly. Like just be mindful of when it's happening so that you can work around that.
Absolutely.
So like we said at the start, Magic Kingdom is the flagship park, right? It's the most visited by far, and that makes sense. It has the most attractions, Cinderella Castle, and just generally, It's got like a lot going on
So
all
much.
the time, right? Plus, with the addition of the Cars area and the Villains Land, sometime in the next 5 years or so, it's going to be even more popular. And going forward, we think it's going to be even more necessary to give an entire day, if not 2 days at Magic Kingdom once these new lands open. There's a lot to do already and lots to look forward to for this park. It's a fan favorite for like a really good reason.
Absolutely. Another thing that we are doing for the first time ever on this upcoming trip is Keys to the Kingdom.
Yeah. Oh my God. We're so excited for that.
This is literally the backstage tour of Magic Kingdom.
Yep. It's a 5-hour walking tour, and it's essentially, it touches on the history of Main Street. You go into the utilidors underground.
Everybody wants to know what those are like.
Yeah,
so now
100%.
we're going to know.
And I've talked to some people who are like, well, won't that shatter the magic? But I've spoken to people who have done the tour, and like, if you're into the history and you already know that it's there, it's just interesting, right? You're seeing this all and you're finding out all this information. So I'm just really excited.
Same here.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great tour. So with that said, thank you for joining us today to talk Magic Kingdom. We hope it's helpful and gets you excited for your next visit to the park.
Absolutely. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you could leave us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. It helps us increase our reach so that we can be found by more guests looking for Walt Disney World advice. And you can leave reviews right on Apple Podcasts. And for Spotify, you can leave a rating.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at letsgo.todisney, as well as our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney. We share some helpful reels here as well as some fun ones. The link tree in the show notes will take you to all of our socials.
Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.